Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Ryan. Here with you from Nankin Hobby in the Southgate location. And today, it's going to be a little bit of a different video today. We always knew there was going to be something like this coming. We just didn't know when. Got a little bit of an interesting review today about the new Losi Tuned LMT that just came out in the past week or two. Definitely got some issues with it and stuff like that. We're going to go over that here in a few. Yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so here's a close-up look at the new Losi TLR Tuned LMT. Definitely a pretty neat truck, I tell you what. It's really neat that it has the full cage too. It's all carbon fiber. It's got aluminum trailing arms on the bottom there for you, so you can actually be able to mount the shock to the chassis itself that way. Has a little bit of a chassis extension here, and then a previous from the original LMT. The front and rear half of the chassis is chopped off. You know, normally it comes out another 2 inches or so on the stock LMT. A really nice feature that you're going to be getting with this particular kit is all aluminum knuckles and casters. And same with the rear hubs as well, those are all aluminum. This kit does not come with electronics, but one of the things I ended up doing here is I put a ProTech 130T and a Hobby Wing Max 10 SCT combo. I want to say it's a 4,000 kV. It's a 550 size motor, just fits in there. Comes with actually pretty decent aluminum shocks for a box stock kit. The springs that it came with were a little stiff, so I went with something a little softer for the kind of style of racing that I do. And you can see here is your battery tray. Now this foam block can come out, so you're able to fit a shorty pack a little bit even lower. Then it has these little rubber bands that come around and strap your battery down. It's not too bad to get to, luckily. Same sway bars as the original LMT. Then a cool new feature is the body caps. So instead of using pins, it uses a stud and a little screw-on cap, just like that, just very similar to the Proline ones. Only thing that's different is it uses a 3mm stud versus 4mm like the Prolines. Okay, so after that little overview of everything, when I was testing this and running this at the track on carpet, it was a black ozite, it had a lot of grip. I was actually pretty impressed with how much grip this truck ended up having. Actually, so much it was a little bit too much, very honestly. The sway bars on this truck are very stiff. They don't have a lot of movement in them. So when the truck goes in the cornering, it doesn't really lean in or dip in or anything like that. It's real rigid. So it does have the tendency to traction roll. That's why you'll see these little bit older tires on here, the IVAX Bajas. They don't have quite as much traction as some of the newer tires out there now, so it kind of helps alleviate that little bit of an issue. For the track that I run at, I have found that these work the best for this particular truck. I'm sure others might vary. Some of the other tires that I did try though were the J-Concept Racers. This is a very aggressive tread pattern on these guys here. Really sharp edges, so I do have a lot of traction with these ones, and this is probably one of the most grippiest tires I've ever used, and it was just too much for the truck. So there's those guys there. I also tried the J-Concept Renegades, and these were a little bit better. Still had a lot of grip that went from the truck, which was really crazy and surprising with how long this wheelbase is and everything like that. So, but still a little bit too much, and that just didn't work out too well, unfortunately. Then for the last one I tried, it was a little bit another older tire, is the RC 4-wheel drive Rumbles. This is a soft compound with, all three of these have crawler innovation foams in them, and even these guys as well. These ones work pretty dang good. I just couldn't keep the wheel nut on. These aren't meant for a truck like this, so it wasn't the best scenario for me to run this tire, unfortunately, because it was more clod-based than anything, but it still worked. But I've chose the Bajas to run for now, and they seem to work out pretty well. Now, with this truck, and a lot of people probably will be asking because of the amount of reviews out there at the moment with this, is how did it go together? And did you run into any of the problems that other people have been having? and I would say it went together okay. There weren't many issues or anything like that in putting it together per se, but the issues that everyone's been having were true. There's a lot of manufacturer defects in this truck, or just quality control is not being sought out too well. So, like for example, on the bottom of this truck, the pig that for your third member in this truck, mine was so warped out of the box. When I went to go screw this on, it would lock that rear differential up or the front differential up like it was nothing. I don't know what's wrong with it. You can physically see that it has a pretty decent contour to it, so it is warped pretty bad. I was able to put just an original LMT one back in there. It uses a smaller bearing because these are the larger bearing versions now. So I did that for just the time being. It works still. Everything lines up. It's just, this shouldn't be an issue, but it was. Another pretty big issue with this truck that I don't quite understand how they didn't miss this in R&D, but the rear sway bar. And even the front too is got some issues, but the rear sway bar with this chassis extension, it hits. It's so far inward you can't fix this. You know, you'd have to take this rear extension off to actually have it cleared, but I feel like this is something completely missed. I don't know how they did it very honestly, but unless I somehow built something wrong, but I went to this manual a few times to figure out different ways to mount this sway bar, but there's only one way. So, and then same with the front. These body posts don't have to be here. They do hit these body posts. But if I were to move them somewhere else and have the button head screws here, those sway bars nail those screws and make a horrible noise. So I put the body post up front here just to help kind of get rid of that really bad scratchy noise that it made, and it did it that way. For the next issue that I had, this is a really big one, is I will have Joe put the little video here of explaining or showing what it did, but the steering knuckles, they're not mildering. So when I went to go turn this truck, you know, let's say I went to go turn right or left, if you were to spin the actual drive shafts themselves, they would actually bind and like buckle the steering every time you turn it. It would go like this. You kind of get what I'm saying. I have a little video here to show you exactly what's happening. To fix this, I ended up taking a file and contouring these inner lips a little bit here, right in these spots right here. I just filed it down a little bit, get rid of that sharp edge that's here, because it actually is a pretty sharp edge that's sitting there. So I did that. Worked great. Now I have full lock, no issues whatsoever. So that was a pretty big issue. Now, I even actually warranted these parts to see if they fix this at all, and it's still an issue. So who knows if that will ever be fixed here, honestly. Next problem, and this is more quality control than anything, is on the shocks. So you have that little bottom cap that holds all the seals in. I got one that wasn't threaded. So there was no way in the world this was going to go onto that shock at all. So that was pretty big letdown. Unfortunately, you know, put this whole video and everything like that back a week because we were waiting on this part to come in. And so I got the new part warranty, got a new one, and I found out a shock collar to adjust your ride height on the spring wasn't threaded either. So, and luckily when I warranted this part, it came with the collar, so I was already all set there. But that was pretty disappointing in this truck, you know, to have those kind of issues like that. Another pretty big thing is, luckily with me, I have a lot of extra hardware laying around, but this kit was missing a significant amount of screws. I'd say probably 20 different screws that were missing throughout the whole kit. So I'd be putting something together, and all of a sudden it'd be, you know, 3 out of 4 needed for these braces or something like that. And I'd have to take it from another bag, you know, earlier or later in the bill, you know, or out of my spare screws and stuff like that. And I went through everything afterwards. I went through the trash to make sure I didn't throw away a bag or anything like that. And they were just straight up missing. You know, it was always like 3 out of 4 or 5 out of 6 that I needed that were there and one was missing. So But other than that, I think that was just about everything that I had an issue with this particular truck. I've heard others. I've talked to a few other people about the cross members in this truck and the lower cross members that hold the upper links together and everything like that, that they weren't threaded or anything like that coming into the kit. I've heard people missing a few parts. I'm not sure what happened with this truck, over at Horizon or anything like that, if it was just rushed or what was going on, but that's kind of bad on their part for putting this out with that many issues. And I'm really surprised some of this was not caught in R&D. But all in all, beyond those things, unfortunately not everyone seems to know how to fix some of that stuff too. This is their first race kit, they expect it to go together as it should, and it should be that way. But as more of an experienced hobbyist, I would say that this truck is a pretty nice truck. I was really surprised at how well it drove for how long the wheelbase is. It still turns around really nice and sharp. Unfortunate with that longer wheelbase that this is, it does flip over a hair bit easier, but you just got to find the right set of tires for the track that you're running and turn down your steering a little bit, so on and so forth. There's ways around to get that fixed. But all in all, it wasn't a bad truck. I just hope, Horizon, goes through and actually fixes some of these issues. And, hopefully they get a new version of it or something like that out soon. But, all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.